Growing up as a kid in the 2010s, I used to watch a show called Detentionaire. Not a lot of people knew about it back then, but those who did appreciated it a lot, treated it as a cult classic, and believed it was peak storytelling. I remembered it having a pretty good story going for the first few seasons. I stopped watching around season 3 because it stopped appearing on TV in my region and I started to watch other channels. Last year, I got nostalgic thinking about the show and wondered, if I really thought this was peak, why don't I see people talking about it anymore? Is it because it's dated? Was the show really that niche? I ended up watching the entire show again last summer, binging through all episodes within a week, and I actually realized why. It really wasn't that good. So the Detentionaire basically goes like this. It focuses on Li Ping, a grade 10 student at A Enigma High who is framed for pulling the biggest school prank in history, which is like some Carrie type prank, and as punishment he's sent to detention every day for an entire year and he has to break the rules to prove that he never broke any rules and find whoever framed him. As he uncovers one mystery, another arises about the school's history and eventually the world. Okay, not gonna lie, the show's premise and main plot was actually interesting. Like, if a high school prank was a catalyst in discovering the world's secrets, I would actually enjoy that. What's funny is that the entire show would have actually been prevented if the lead character just didn't take a piss at a specific time. It was fun to see Lee navigating through the chaos within the school. It's kind of similar to that of Riverdale where it may seem serious, but the deeper you get into it, it's actually really fucking stupid.
I dropped out in the 4th grade to run drugs to support my nana.
That means you haven't known the triumphs and defeats, the epic highs and lows of high school football.
It ranges from people hating Lee for petty reasons, to a DDR-based math machine, to finding an underground tunnel underneath the school, to becoming slaves in a shoe factory, to becoming a kung fu master, and to The entire show is wrapped in one big conspiracy, but it's actually crazy how the show manages to build up to that just from one simple high school prank. There's a bit of foreshadowing throughout the show, which would only make sense if you theorize certain details or rewatch the show. However, I don't think I'm gonna rewatch the show due to the many problems I have with the show's execution of the build up to the mystery. One of the show's biggest problems is its pacing. It doesn't help for a thriller show to have its episodes be formulaic if it forces red herrings to occur constantly and it halts the pacing of getting deeper into the mystery. I understand that the show needs to have some slow burn to build up the mystery, but there's also B-plots a part of the show that kind of take me out. The B-plots allow the characters to be more fleshed out, but they're just so boring in comparison to the main plot and it's really hard to connect with the characters and most of them start out annoying. Some characters are supposed to be written as annoying on purpose to serve as an obstacle for Lee, but I don't think some of Lee's real friends aren't supposed to be that annoying. Sure, maybe they do get better throughout the show, but it's really hard for me to actually give a damn about these guys, let alone the situations they put themselves in. I do not care. We do not care. I need the answers to the mystery now. Fortunately, the main plot does focus on the better characters, but oh my god. This one character in particular. This one character that always gets under my skin for being such a fucking bitch. This bitch ass Holger. His entire gimmick is that he always places himself in trouble and that him being foreign is funny. All of the characters hate dealing with this shit all the time.
Not to be worrying, Holger now be having the superpowers and easily be defeating them. Hey-ya!
Okay, is he gonna keep talking like that? Cause I'm gonna break his face.
He constantly places himself in jeopardy because he's being way too quirky. He's always so fucking annoying and dumb. There's like an entire joke that he's only good at a few things which help the cast get out of a certain problems at certain times, but how the fuck do you justify half the shit he does? God, he's so fucking... Oh my god. You know, despite me ranting about Holger, the show blesses us with what I consider a 10 out of 10 character trapped in a mid-TV show. My man, Biffy Goldstein. Biffy's undeniably the best character on the show. I think he's the hottest character on the show, but I don't think we're ready to have that conversation yet. Yeah, he's the gentle giant bully persona archetype, but he's surprisingly not stupid. I like that he's written to counter the stereotype he's designed as, and I'm glad he gets a lot of screen time. He's literally one of the only characters capable of rational thought. And also because he tortured Holger for an entire episode. He's like a diamond in the rough. Like, he's just better than everyone else in the show, and I'm pretty sure he can no-diff almost everyone there as well. Not gonna lie, Biffy deserves better.
I'm gonna get you out of here! I promise you, I'm gonna get you out of there!
The show also follows the themes of social cliques. I mean, it's true in high school that people tend to stick around each other based on common interests, but since the show characterizes the stereotypes, they're forced to be one-dimensional. For example, jocks are dumb, stupid, cocky. Nerds are socially disconnected and weird. popular girls are sassy plastic, whatever, you see where I'm going with this. Anyways, there's this supposed social commentary within the show about how you should mix and match with other people in high school. If anything, it just opposes its own message and reinforces the division between the cliques. If you want to watch the show for its animation only, I don't think this show is particularly targeted towards you. There is a charm to the show's animation, but not for being amazing. It doesn't look horrible often, but when the show wants to do something ambitious, the character rigs become really awkward and ruin the tension between chasing sequences. I mean, it does slightly get better throughout the series run, but it's still nothing to write home about. Sometimes the animator for the show didn't really care and didn't even bother to animate some of the sequences. Like, there are some genuinely good looking shots, but it gets overshadowed by the lackluster animation and the awkward backgrounds. Okay, I do actually appreciate that there is some chemistry between characters. I did say that B+ are kind of annoying to get through, but the character dynamics are kind of its redeeming factor. Sometimes I actually rewind quite a bit because these interactions with these characters feel so human, especially in moments with Biffy and Lee.
Then we both go. But since this is already getting too chatty, until we find him, no talking! Starting now.
What about singing? Can we sing to each other?
Because it's a kid's cartoon, I'm not really expected to think too heavily, but I love how ridiculous the show can get and see how much it can get away with. The weird and ridiculous shit is what made me continue watching the show. Like, why the fuck do characters just have pictures of other characters in the room? You see Lee and Tina having pictures of each other. Tina has Lee as her fucking computer wallpaper. Like, these teenagers are not okay. There's even this entire scenario where the 15th grader who asked out a 10th grader on a date. Who let these writers cook this shit up? There's also even supernatural elements in the show. Like, Lee suddenly gets powers from an adrenaline boost from a fucking tattoo. Unfortunately though, the show got cancelled before getting a proper conclusion. The show was cancelled due to low viewer count and being screwed over by Cartoon Network with their on-demand services and censorship issues. I do think it ended off pretty well, but there's an entire cliffhanger scene that I choose to ignore and imagine it never happened. Although I believe that the show was definitely not perfect, with the proper network handling and marketing, it would have received a relatively big fan base, and I wish it did have, because I probably would have been a part of that crowd. Let's give a quick shout out to the 50 diehard Detentionaire fans in all of existence. Thinking about it, there's a lot of missed potential in the show. I really wish to see what the writers had in store and how they would end the mystery that they were building up towards. Some part of me believes that the Detentionaire could get another season since George of the Jungle was able to acquire one, and Totally Spies got renewed for another season. Anyways, I enjoyed Detentionaire quite a bit, but there were a lot of issues with the show that bothered me. I'm glad that the childhood nostalgia and the ridiculousness of the show convinced me to stay longer and watch the show. If I were to rate this show, I would probably give it a 5 out of 10. I can definitely say that the show can be entertaining and is pretty good for a guilty pleasure show, but it's so rough to get through considering all the problems I had with it. If you like shows like Total Drama Island, or maybe Gravity Falls or Riverdale, I think you should consider watching the show for its plot and wackiness and the character chemistry. It doesn't hold a candle to Gravity Falls, but it has a thriller aspect that I think viewers may enjoy in the first few seasons. If you enjoyed the thriller aspect and want to see more shit getting thrown into chaos without taking itself too seriously, just stick around longer and watch the rest of the show. Otherwise, you can just drop the show after the second season. I really enjoyed the third and fourth seasons though. They're almost entirely different shows in tone. I'm glad that I watched the show again, but I don't think I'll ever rewatch it entirely. The only time I'll ever watch the show again is through clips so I can at least look for good Biffy moments. In the future, I might make more videos like this talking about more niche animated shows or going back into nostalgic TV shows. I was hoping to review Detentionaire as a peak fiction video, but like I rewatched the show and found out it isn't even close to peak fiction. So basically that wraps up my experience of going through Detentionaire. Thanks for staying till the end. Have a good one, folks. Peace.